This freaky motorcycle you're looking at right here has turned out to be one of the most exciting machines to come out of the Indian automobile industry in 2019. Now what makes it so exciting is that this is India's first electric sports bike, but also the fact that it's been entirely designed and developed right here in India, in fact just down the road there in Bengaluru. This is the Ultraviolette F77 and we've been given a very brief amount of time to ride it here at the MMRT. So without any further ado, let's get to it. And we'll begin with the backstory. Ultraviolette is a Bengaluru-based startup that's been working on the concept of an electric motorcycle all the way since 2015. Things have moved on a lot since then, and TVS now holds a 25% stake in the company. The F77 is Ultraviolette's first product, and when you're trying to introduce something that's completely new and unheard of, it helps if your bike is built to stand out. Alright, so what do you say about this design? Well, one thing I can say for sure is that you've seen nothing like this out there. The F77 wears a unique and aggressive set of proportions with an interesting combination of a full fairing and an individual headlight up front. What I will say is that when you look at it up close, you'll see that quality levels seem to be really high and there has been a lot of attention paid to the details. This is one unique and sporty looking motorcycle, and that's because the proportions are very unusual. The side profile looks quite mass heavy with a full fairing, and this is offset by an individual naked bike style headlamp. There is no wind protection, but the suspension shrouds around the upside down fork help to create a muscular look. The tail section is perhaps the most conventional angle, with a sharp and attractive set of lines that look like they came straight off a sports bike. There's full LED lighting all around, and the lamps at both ends look sporty and detailed. Ultraviolette plans to offer the bike in 3 color schemes, and there will be some interesting accessories on offer as well. Ultimately, the F77 certainly doesn't wear a classically pretty design, but it has heaps of presence and the bike commands plenty of attention in person. Quality seems to be a priority, and there are plenty of small details like the foot peg holders, the superbike-like swing arm, the TFT display, and those smartly designed wheels that suggest this will be a premium machine. The F77 then looks fast just standing still, but thankfully it packs some exciting performance numbers to match. This bike runs a frame-mounted, air-cooled electric motor that claims 33.5 horsepower and an absolutely massive 90 Newton meters of torque. Petrol or electric, those are some exciting looking numbers. With so much horsepower and especially so much torque on offer, you would expect a very high level of performance out on the racetrack. But the F77 tells a slightly different story, and this bike's performance is more in line with 200cc machines rather than the 300cc competition that you would associate it with going by the spec sheet. Ultraviolette claims a 7.5 second run from 0 to 100 kph, and the initial acceleration surge certainly feels like the bike is capable of that. The strong pull begins to taper past 80 kph, but the bike will still get up to about 120 without a struggle. Ultraviolette claims a top speed of 147 kph, but I suspect this will take some distance to achieve. Time was scarce, so I only got to set one fast lap on the track, where the bike managed to set an indicated top speed of just under 135. This puts the F77's performance more in line with 200 to low-end 250cc machines rather than the 300cc competition. The motor powers the rear wheel via chain drive, and there is no clutch or changing gears to bother with. Just twist the throttle and go. The good news is that the throttle response is very smooth and natural feeling, which makes the bike easy and unintimidating to ride. As for sound, there's an interesting whine from the motor and the reduction ratio gears. But when a bike makes so little noise, you tend to hear everything else much more clearly. That's when you realize that the F77's chain drive can be quite loud, and I think a quiet running belt drive would have been nicer, even though it would have been more expensive and perhaps not as easy to keep maintained at the average roadside mechanic. We had about just 20 minutes with the bike in total, but in that time 2 things became clear. The first is that the initial acceleration rush is strong and uninterrupted, and I'm sure that this will be great fun to exploit out on the street. The second is that this is a very sharp handling motorcycle when it comes time to attack some corners. Ultraviolette has developed their own bespoke trellis frame for this motorcycle, and it packs some pretty aggressive steering geometry numbers. Now with bars this wide, it's no surprise that this is a very fast steering motorcycle, and it is quite exciting to ride. With a relatively short wheelbase and an aggressive steering rake angle, The F77 reacts rapidly to rider inputs. You need to be measured with your movements because the F77 responds as fast, if not faster than a KTM RC390, and it'll be interesting to see how this fares in the real world with all of its mid-corner bumps, craters and cows. Thanks to a sharp front brake, an impressively low curb weight and no cattle in sight, the F77 loved attacking corners on the racetrack. When pushed hard though, you can tell that the rear suspension felt a little too soft, and that's where the expensive Metzeler M7RR tyres earned their keep. Although it should be said that even something like the Metzeler M5 would have been more than enough at this performance level. Ultimately, the F77 feels a little bit on edge when you push it to the limit, but Ultraviolette tells us that they're working on fine-tuning the suspension setup. Things may stand to improve, but for now, it's clear that this is a fun, sharp and responsive machine. Of course, most F77s will not spend their life ridden to the limit at the racetrack, and this bike has a lot more to offer, especially when it comes to technology and gadgets.
Now, the exciting thing about futuristic electric vehicles like this is that they can innovate in ways that you haven't imagined. Now, this bike has a lot of technology and features packed into it, which we'll get into in a moment. But for now, this is my favorite one. That's your battery packs right down there.
Ultraviolette has cleverly split the battery into 3 individual packs, each weighing 8.6 kilos. This allows you to remove 1 or 2 if you need to charge them externally without the risk of pulling a hernia. The packs work together in parallel, and the company recommends running all 3 or at least 2 at all times. Charging takes 5 hours with a standard charger and 1.5 hours with an optional fast charger. There's also going to be an optional portable power bank style charger that can be carried around in a backpack. Ultraviolette claims groundbreaking energy density levels from their in-house battery pack design, and this allows them to claim real-world range figures of 130 to 150 kilometers despite a relatively modest total battery capacity of 4.2 kilowatt-hours. Of course, we will have to put this to the test, and we also can't comment on the moment on how performance will fare once the charge level drops. But for now, let's talk about all the technology packed within this motorcycle. The F77 uses a 4G SIM as well as a 9-axis inertial measurement unit, which is similar to what you'll find in a smartphone. This combination unlocks multiple connected features, and there is a whole host of functionality available within the TFT display as well. The bike has 3 riding modes, and it comes with adjustable regenerative braking. There isn't any form of traction control, but safety does come via a dual-channel ABS. While all that sounds good, we unfortunately didn't get to experience any of it. As it turns out, the bikes we rode weren't as production ready as we thought. The TFT display was a mock-up with a smartphone running underneath, and the switchgear wasn't in final spec as well, which meant we couldn't control any of the electronic features, including the regen braking or the riding modes. In case you're wondering, the bikes were set to offer full power when we rode them. So how much will all this cost you? Ultraviolette says that the F77 will be priced between Rs 3 and 3.25 lakh on road when it goes on sale late next year in Bengaluru, with other cities to follow at a later date. At this price, you certainly aren't getting a similar price to performance ratio as a petrol powered machine. What you will be, however, is an early adopter, and early adopters of any technology have never had it cheap. As much as I wish we got to experience the production-ready motorcycles, for now, all I can say is that the F77 looks promising.
The F77 clearly is a motorcycle with a lot of promise, but here's the deal. The bikes we've ridden today are still very much in the pre-production prototype stage, and we didn't get to experience many of the features, and there are still things that Ultraviolette needs to iron out. The good news is that the company has been clear that they will not deliver any motorcycles for at least another year starting in October 2020. So that gives them time to refine and iron out all the issues. For now, this is a motorcycle that I'm really intrigued by, but I would recommend that you wait until we ride the final production-ready versions of this bike to give you the final word.
It's a celebration of the oldest automaker of them all, Mercedes-Benz, and this year at the MBCCR, or the Mercedes-Benz Classic Car Rally. We have cars spanning over a century. That's 100 years. Over 140 cars, every version of the E-Class in the Classic range, every Classic S-Class, every Classic SL. We've got them all here in what is definitely the biggest single automaker rally or classic car event in the country today.
The Mercedes-Benz Classic Car Rally in its sixth iteration was run in Mumbai on November 10, 2019 and saw participation across generations, from the Benz patent wagon replica to modern classics like the Mercedes SLS Coupe and Roadster. This year though was special. Not only was it a celebration of a mark that defines the automotive world, it is also the 25th anniversary of Mercedes-Benz in India. We caught up with Martin Schwenk, MD and CEO of Mercedes India, to get his take on the rally.
I'm really almost shocked, that it's possible to improve an event which was great last year already, and now seeing so many well-restored cars in even better condition than last year. So I think it's amazing, like always, and I'm really, really deeply impressed about what I see today. I think Mercedes-Benz is a brand which is not only built on history but also on trust and on a lot of love of the owners to their cars. And I think there's not many things which display that better than events like this. It is to the core of the company, the history, the trust and the love to the company, to the cars then eventually. So I'm really impressed having that on display today.
We also asked Martin to choose what his favorite amongst the lot was, and his answer was actually quite surprising.
For me, it's always an SL Roadster, the R107, which is kind of my childhood dream, and I'm still dreaming about it, but one day I'm sure I can make it true then,
And talking about the SL, the 2019 MBCCR also had this showstopper, India's one and only 300 SL, owned by the royal family of Gondal, now sporting its removable hardtop, making it look absolutely stunning.
It's been 2 years since then I've been entering, and there have been more and more cars, and congratulations to Autocar for doing a fantastic job, and also congratulations for 25 years of Mercedes in India. And the event was fantastic, and I always love to be in this event as a participant.
In fact, the 2019 MBCCR had every single classic SL iteration on display, including this one, owned at one point by none other than Sachin Tendulkar. We caught up with some SL owners to get their views on this year's show.
It's a great event. We look forward to taking part in this event, and after many years I have fulfilled my desire to come here with a car, which has taken almost 2 years or more to restore.
I think today, me and myself, very proud that there's a big line of SLs, and it's great to be with like-minded people at the show, and it's 6 years running, and kudos to Autocar.
Other rare cars included the Mercedes-Benz Nürburgring from Vivek Goenka's collection, another singular car in the country. Incidentally, this is also the first ever 8-cylinder car the automaker ever produced, cementing its place in automotive folklore. However, this year, with the introduction of a few modern classics into the rally, there was another car from the Goenka collection that also won the hearts of people, this stunning and huge Maybach 62.
Well, I'm an old-fashioned guy with white beard, so I still prefer my old classics. But I think, in all fairness, modern classics, I believe, are becoming very popular these days. And it's important to preserve these great creations because, cars like the Maybach is something that is the first Maybach, the modern classic Maybach, is very difficult to find and run. So if somebody does manage to get hold of one and keep it running, it's a great thing to keep them going. It's a great opportunity and it's a great event. And our compliments to Autocar from the drivers and owners of Mercs.
What makes the MBCCR a very special event is the fact that it is the largest single manufacturer classic event, with every generation of the Classic S-Class, the Classic E-Class, a whole bunch of Mercedes 170s, and everything else in between. Nearly every single body style made by Mercedes-Benz was well represented. And a growing trend that is distinctly noticeable in all events around the world is that of modern classics.
Well, it's improved a lot. This time I see a lot of new cars and good quality of cars. It's a very good event, and the layout here is fantastic. Yes, you have the modern classics that has to be encouraged. This is the new trend now, and we have to encourage that.
What makes this year's show really unique is that you have cars spawning over 100 years. We have cars which are the 1895 Benz patent wagon replica to Mercedes' flagship SLS AMG Roadster and Gullwing. Also, most of the cars that you see here today are all built at a time before electronics ruled the world, in the automotive world. And so most of these cars here are just timeless. They're designed to actually built to be driven and to last forever. Not only are you seeing the evolution of Mercedes-Benz over a century, but you're seeing the evolution of automobiles over a century. And when the cars hit the road, you'll actually be seeing a museum on wheels, and I think that is what makes this show extremely unique.
I can tell you that it's an amazing event. In fact, Mercedes-Benz as a brand is the only brand in the world that can actually have an event in India and represent every generation of car produced by them. There's no other brand that can do it. And credit to Mercedes-Benz that all their cars are still on the road even after 70, 80 years.
It wasn't just cars from Mumbai that participated in the event. Cars from as far as Goa, Bangalore, Pune and even Rajkot had driven down for the rally.
I drove down this car from Pune to Mumbai for this rally, and it was a wonderful experience.
We just came for the Mercedes Classic Car event yesterday. Drove from Rajkot, Gujarat, or city, and it was great being here.
With India's classic car scene flourishing, there are more and more people getting more interested into older cars and adding it to their collection of more modern and especially AMG-powered Mercedes-Benz. And it is no surprise to know which key these owners reach out for on a lazy Sunday morning.
The C63 is a naturally aspirated car. It is all about performance. It's a very thrilling feeling to drive that car. This, on the other hand, gives you a very relaxed feel. It, in its own way, is also a head turner, and I can't distinguish between the two. It's pleasurable driving that as well as this one.
I have one W126 560 SEL Merc V8. I love Merc V8s. I have a modern C63S AMG also, and it's a tough fight. Which one gives me more joy?
With the number of cars and the quality of cars increasing every single year, more and more people have started to actually buy cars to participate in events like these. Known for his passion for supercars, we caught up with Gautam Singhania, who most certainly seemed impressed by the cars here.
Well, this is my first time here. It's always good to come out to any auto event like this. I think always cars are pieces of art, and they put a smile on people's faces. When we formed the Supercar Club of India, the same objective: get beautiful cars out, get beautiful people out. What better way to spend a Sunday morning?
And so as the cars lined up and were flagged off one by one, the convoy most certainly a sight to behold. As the cars drove down the beautiful Bandra reclamation on towards Worli, Mumbai seemed to be out cheering on these drivers and basking in the aura of these wonderful cars. A special mention should also be made to yet another model that was added to the list of cars this year, the W124. The popular modern classic was the first car ever sold in India officially by Mercedes-Benz in the 90s. It was definitely one of the most popular cars here.
Year on year, we are seeing an increase in number of cars, and even the authorized workshops are seeing an increase in restoration of these older cars. Independent restorers are doing more and more cars every year. So I think this event is growing, and in the last 6 years, I think we've grown almost 300%. Lastly, we'd like to thank the Mumbai Police for extending their support, Commissioner Sanjay Barve as well, and I'd also like to thank Mercedes-Benz who've been supporting us and supporting this event for the last 6 years. I mean, this is the 6th edition, and we look forward to doing a bigger and even grander event next year.
And now it's time for tips on sustainability and protecting the environment with Servo Futura G Plus from Indian Oil. Choose a smaller car if you don't need the size and space. Overloading the car with weight makes it work harder.